Hi everyone, Lynn is back. It is me yet again. I literally just got done watching episodes 3 and 4. Um, and my stunned silence is actually a lot of how I feel about this because what the fuck is my main reaction here. I will give a mini overview of the 2 episodes and then talk about how I feel. So if you will give me just one moment to collect myself. Guys, this is really embarrassing, but I've been ranting for like 4 minutes and I wasn't recording. It's the first time I've done that. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, I will rewind. It's rewind time. Okay. Episode 3. Behind closed doors. We start off literally like right after like how episode 1 and 2 take place at the same time. The end of that episode, after Emily shows up and Charlie screams and all of that, right after that is when episode 3 starts. Very clear timeline. We love to see it. Anyway, Charlie freaks the fuck out. She's like, holy fucking shit, people can be redeemed. So she runs over to everybody else. She's like, guys, you won't believe it, Pet got redeemed. And they're like, Charlie, are you on drugs right now? And she's like, no, literally, like, I'm literally not though. And so she, Vaggie talks to her about it. She's like, okay, babe, calm down. What happened? And she's like, Emily came down through a portal and she told me that Penchus was redeemed and he's in heaven now. And as they're having this conversation, you know, like walking down the hallway, they turn towards the window and they see that big ass Zeppelin. Is that what they're called? Zeppelins, blimps, whatever. The Vox Tech one that says, like, you know, Charlie Morningstar, dictator, whatever, that we saw in the trailer, which is totally Pinterest's design, by the way. Assholes. Anyway, and she's like, I am not a dictator. And so she takes out her phone and she starts emailing Vox Tech, which she has as a contact in her phone for some reason. Anyway, she emails Vox Tech and she's like, hey guys, not a dictator, by the way, but anyways, I would like an exclusive interview, so send your best reporters. And, you know, Vox gets the email and he's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And so him and Velvet show up because, of course, it's those two, right? Of course it is. We're gonna cause problems. And, you know, they start doing the interview and everything. And Charlie's like hesitating and freaking the fuck out. And then she's like, okay, I'll be honest, I didn't invite you here because I wanted an interview. I invited you here because I figured out people can get redeemed. And they're like, what? And she's like, yeah, Penchus is in heaven. And he's like, oh, really? How do you know that? Did a little angel fly down and tell you? And Charlie's like, yeah, well, she came down through a portal, but basically, and, and Vox is like, okay, so you have no proof. And she's like, what? Well, no. And so Vox doesn't believe her, and he's like, come on, Velvet, let's get out of here, you know? Nothing interesting here. She goes, wait. We'll redeem someone right here, right now. And, you know, of course that sparks Vox's attention, you know, because that's good fucking television. So him and Velvet decide to stay for the day. And it's this whole fucking thing. And of course, like, you can already tell this is gonna go terribly. You already know. It can only go bad. And as she's talking to Vox and Velvet, Angel comes downstairs with Husk and maybe Nifty, I think. I don't remember, but that's not important. The important part is Angel comes downstairs and he sees Vox and Velvet and he freaks the fuck out because they work with Valentino and that's bad. And so he pulls Charlie aside and he's like, dude, what the fuck? What are you doing? These guys are bad news. We can't, like, you can't be doing this. And Charlie's like, no, it's fine though. Listen, they're literally just here to talk about, like, you know, so that we can get the information out that people can be redeemed on the eensy weensy little caveat that we get someone redeemed right here, right now. And then Angel's like, what? Huh? And she's like, we're gonna redeem you right here, right now. And Angel's like, you're fucking insane. I'm going back to my room. I'm not doing this. But then Husk is like, well, if anybody's gonna get redeemed, it's gonna be you. And it's like kind of cute for a second there. And so Angel reluctantly agrees because he knows that regardless, Charlie's not gonna fucking shut up about it. And so Charlie goes through these quote-unquote like 10 steps of redemption where she basically just tries to replicate Pentious. This whole thing is her trying to replicate Pentious, so nothing is working, and she's getting increasingly like freaked out and frustrated because she doesn't want people to think she's a dictator, you know. And this is the episode where Husk ends up in that dress. Basically, her thought is, in order to be redeemed, you have to self-sacrifice. So she ties up Husk on a set of railroad tracks and dresses up Angel Dust in this cowboy outfit. It's actually kind of cute. He looks kind of cute. And oh my god. She's basically like, there's a train and it's gonna hit this poor damsel in distress. And, you know, blah, blah, blah. And you have to save them. And she has like a remote that can stop the train that she like hid in her jacket. But Angel's like, Charlie, I'm not doing this, right? Like, this is fucking stupid. I'm not going to do this. And so she pulls out the remote and goes to stop the train, but it doesn't stop. And Vox goes, oh yeah, well, you know, I saw that your train didn't have any real danger, so I went and cut the brakes. So now there's a fucking train that's barreling towards Husk, who will literally get run over and die, but not die forever, but like die, and it'll be super painful. And so Angel then has to jump into action and is like trying to get Husk free, but would not have been able to get him in time. So instead he just jumps in front of the fucking train like a fucking idiot. And then Vaggie flies in and saves both of them and is like, hey, what's going on? You know, blah, blah, blah. And you know, Charlie's like, brakes, cut the brakes. And then, you know, like freaking out. And Angel, I mean, like, everybody's high tensions at this point, and Husk is like, why the fuck did you do that? What's fucking wrong with you? And is mad at Angel. And I was like, you're mad at me for trying to save you? He's like, cause you risked your life, you idiot. I know that you want this more than anybody else here. And then Charlie's talking to Vaggie. She's like, I don't know why it didn't work. I was replicating everything that happened with Pentious. And then Vaggie goes, but he's not Pentious. And then that all like clicks for her. She's like, oh my god, he's not Pentious. That's it. And she like makes the connection that the thing that redeems you is in line with your initial sin. And then Vox, we see a lot of him in these two episodes. You know, so Charlie turns to Angel and he's immediately like, no, we're not doing this right now. Remember that talk we had about boundaries? Not happening. And she's like, come on, Angel, we won't judge you. And then Vox is like, you want to know what he did? And before Charlie can really answer, he says, how do you think you can redeem a murderer? And he walks up to Angel. He goes, it was your dad, right? What did he do? Hit you? Like, hello? Because apparently Val yapped about it to him, which of course he did. Like, nobody's surprised there. But obviously it was something that Angel was not ready to divulge yet, so he's fucking pissed off. And then Charlie steps in. She's like, hey, you can't fucking talk to my friends like that. Get the fuck out of my hotel. And Vox is like, need to remind you, bitch, you invited us here. And she's like, I don't care. Get out. And so they leave and they spread this whole propaganda bullshit. It's like horribly cut up footage. It's so bad. And Angel, oh, poor Angel. He gets rightfully very upset because it was a secret that he was not ready to have divulged. And he dips. He's like, I can't fucking do this right now. And oh my god, I completely forgot about the Baxter subplot, dude. That's there's a Cherry Baxter subplot, basically, because Cherry figures out that Pentious was redeemed, and she's like, what the hell? You know, like, I miss him, bro. But because we're like rivals, obviously. Totally. And Husk mentions that Baxter used to work with Pentious, so Cherry goes down to Baxter's room, which is in the basement for some reason. I digress. Baxter works for Vox Tech, by the way. And she's like, hey, tell me what you know about Pentious, you know? And Baxter basically was just like, we work together. And then asks her to leave. And she threatens to blow the place up unless he says everything. So he tells her that they used to work together. And Baxter was bioengineering and Pentious was regular engineering with his shitty-ass contraptions. And they used to work together trying to gain the favor of more powerful overlords. But Pentious wasn't as great. And Baxter's stuff got noticed a lot more quickly because it was more impressive. And basically, Baxter got to deal with Vox Tech and was like, bye. And we learned that. So that's kind of crazy. What else was I? Oh, fuck. Guys, I'm so scatterbrained. It's like not even funny. Because I was still going to talk more about this episode. Oh, right. I brought up the Cherry thing. Because Cherry hasn't been staying at the hotel, right? She outright says that in episode 1. Well, towards the end of the episode, we see her pick up a key off the wall. And she goes up to Angel, who's smoking on the roof because he's having a moment, all right? He's struggling. And she shows him and says that she's decided to start staying there. And oh, it's so cute. They have like this beautiful moment on the roof together, and it's fabulous. That's basically it for episode 3. Then we get to episode 4. It's a deal. Now think about that title for a second. Already bad news bears, okay? Already bad news bears. Anything with that kind of title? Okay. Charlie's basically like, okay, so Vox Tech, you know, they took all this footage and took everything I said out of context, but they can't do that if I go on live television. Dumbest fucking choice she's ever made in her life, but it's okay. We still love her. And she takes Nifty with her. She goes to do a live interview with Katie Killjoy and Tom Trench, and she takes Nifty with her. Nifty? Nifty? The one we know has... Okay. I don't know. It just struck me as very, very odd. But then it cuts away from her while she's, like, going over there. And we see, like, Lucifer and Angel and Cherry, and they're all, like, lounging around, chilling. And then Alistair comes in. Alistair, who we have barely seen up until this point. Alistair, who has outright disappeared every time he's been on camera until now. And he, like, sits down, and him and Lucifer have a little, like, quippy back and forth being bitchy to each other. And then Alistair's like, you know what? I quit. I'm not fucking doing this anymore. And he gets up, and he walks out. Lucifer, I don't remember what he says, but he calls Alistair Bambi, and I thought it was really funny. And Alistair leaves. And he goes to... Okay, so at this point, it, like, cuts back to Charlie, but I want to talk about the Alistair... I want to talk about the Alistair plot right now. And then we'll go back to Charlie after this revelation. Alistair goes to Cannibal Town. We know he vibes there. Like, he chills there. We know that. And he, like, picks up some flowers and stuff, and he goes to Rosie's Emporium, and he's like, hey, girl. And she's like, oh my gosh, Alistair, I didn't know you were coming. And, you know, they have this, like, cute little, like, normal, friendly banter, and then they sit down together, and Alistair's like, I have news, and Rosie's like, oh, yeah, what is it? And he goes, I quit working at the hotel, I don't want to do it anymore. And Rosie goes, what? And it's here that we discover... You guys remember how everybody was like, oh, it's Lilith who owns Alistair's soul for surezies because the 7-year time plot lines up. Wrong. It's been Rosie the whole time. But anyway, Alistair's like, I don't want to fucking do it anymore. And Rosie's like, oh, see, but that's not your choice. And he's like, well, fuck you, basically. And she goes, you know, you really still are just as naive as when we first met. Do you remember that? And Alistair's like, oh, I'm sure you'll remind me. And she does. And guys, we saw human Alistair, bro, and it was awesome. It was so fun. It was so fun. It was it was pretty freaking cool. But we see some of his backstory and, like, you know, all of that. Obviously, how, I mean, it didn't go as in depth as I would have wanted, but I digress. It shows us in, like, his little cabin in the woods, and, like, he lives in, like, New Orleans, right? My brain just wanted to say Louisiana, but I don't think that's... Guys, can you tell I've never taken a geography class? Can you tell that I haven't studied the map of the United States since 5th grade? Anyway, he goes to his little cabin, and he draws out a fucking sigil in blood on the floor and calls out to the demons, because for some reason he knew how to do that when he was alive. I don't know. Anyway, he calls out to the demons, and it's Rosie who answers. And she's like, okay, you've summoned me. What is it that you want? And he's like, okay, listen, I'm gonna cut right to the chase here. I know what happens when someone like me dies, but I don't want to be a soul who's just tortured in hell forever. I want to be a powerful demon. And Rosie's like, oh, okay, that's new. Surezies, I can do that for you. I can give you power, but you have to do something for me. And until you complete the task I give you, I own your soul. And he's like, all right, chill, deal. And now we have no fucking idea what this task was, but we do know that this task is the reason he was gone for 7 years. And the reason he was working at the hotel. And she reminds him, she's like, yeah, honey, you're on my leash. I own you. And he does not like that. He does not like that at all. Rosie has a whole song about it. It's called Don't Forget or something. It's kind of silly. It's kind of fire. I kind of love it. But then Alistair, like, he gets so pissy. He, like, storms out. He's like, God, that fucking bitch with her stupid fucking song. Saying all those stupid things. And he walks out to a park bench in Cannibal Town. There's, like, a statue of the Morning Stars behind him. And on the bench, there's a plaque that says, in memory of Susan, I wish she'd die again. That's not important, but I remembered it, so I brought it up. And he's like, think, Alistair, think. How are you going to get out of this situation? And then he thinks of an idea. And he's like, oh, Alistair, that's an evil, evil idea. Referring to himself in the third person like a fucking weirdo. And now we're gonna go back to the Charlie plot. So Charlie's doing this interview with Katie Killjoy, and she's like trying to clear up all this shit about the hotel. And it's not going great, obviously, because, I mean, can we be so for real? Nobody thought it was gonna go well. And basically Charlie's like, well, see, because when they got all the footage at my place, they cut it up and misinterpreted things and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, you can't do that on here. I mean, it's not like I'm just gonna say I hate sinners and I think they deserved extermination. That's not something I would... And then she said the thing. So then they were all like, oh my God, she said the thing. She hates us and she thinks we need to die. And do you know who she calls on to save the situation? Nifty. I'm gonna say that one more time. Nifty. She grabs Nifty and she's like, Nifty, tell him how much you love the hotel. You guys remember what happens to Nifty when she gets in front of cameras? She stops working. She just, you know? And Charlie's like, oh, right, the camera thing. And so she tells Nifty, she's like, the camera's just a big roach. Tell the big roach how much you love the hotel. And so Nifty, being the lobotomized housewife she is, starts talking about how fucking dirty and disgusting the place is. Yep. She talks about how fucking gross it is, and how she murdered all the rats and became the rat queen. Actually real part of the song, by the way. And Charlie's like, oh my god, this is Nifty, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm helping. And she's like, can you help in a different way? And then Nifty starts singing in Japanese, which is like when she's actually saying the important stuff that would have helped. Like, Charlie's such a good boss and I love her and I believe in her and all that. But nobody fucking understands what she's saying because it's in Japanese. Oh my god. And it just overall going very poorly. Ow. And now before we get to the next plot point, I gotta jump back to the Alistair plot. So Alistair decided he was gonna go piss off Vox. because why not, right? So he pulls up, he pulls out his little staff, he's like, I know you're out here, Vox. And Vox shows up, he's like, hey bitch, what do you want? And they start like low-key fighting. And by low-key, I mean like high-key, they're like trying to beat each other up. Alistair is he's not doing too hot because he's got his boo-boo and his staff is broken, so it shit ain't working. And I mean, like, Alistair maybe could have won, but then Valentino and Velvet pull up and they're like, no bitch, and they start like tag teaming poor Alistair. And by poor Alistair, I mean the fucker who kind of deserved it because he brought this upon himself, but that's not the point. And then Nifty, well, she's like yapping in the studio. She like looks over and she sees the headline and she's like, Alistair's in trouble. So she fucking sprints out of the studio, goes all the way to the hotel, grabs Husk, runs all the way to where the fight was happening, which I don't know how she knew for 1,000,000% sure where that was, but it was probably because that shit was fucking destroyed. Anyway, she pulls up with Husk, and Husk is like, what is happening right now? Why are we doing this? And Husk accidentally fucks up Velvet's hair, and she, like, goes apeshit. Which is kind of to be expected, but he's freaking out. He's like, what? I didn't even fucking mean to, lady. What the hell? And so now they're all fighting. And Nifty is, of course, going after Valentino, and it's funny, but it's also very, it's odd to watch, because she just, like, rummages around in his coat and then fucking stabs him. Like, oh, okay, that's, right then. But Velvet and Valentino both get to a point where they could kill their opponent, and then Alistair's like, Vox, buddy, I did all this because I have a proposition for you. And Vox is like, fuck you me. What you talking about? And Alistair basically says, alright, listen up. Listen up. You let my friends go, like, I will be your captive and join your media scheme if, two conditions. You let Nifty and Husk go, and you don't hurt Charlie. Are you fucking serious right now? And of course Vox is like, for real? For realsies? For real? For serious? It's a deal. And they shake hands, and it creates an official deal. And Husk is like, what the fuck is going on? Appropriately, because I too would be like, what the fuck is going on? And then Vox ties up Alistair and, like, promenades him all around Pentagram City. It's kind of ridiculous. But he drags Alistair into the studio, and Alistair's, like, tied up. He's got, you know, like, it's not a gag, because it's not gagging him. It's just a bandana tied around his face. He's, like, tied up in a chair. But as this happens, Charlie gets pushed out of the studio. So she's like, what the fuck is going on? What is this? Alistair, are you okay? But, you know, obviously she doesn't really get to ask him. She sees the headline and she's like, what? Which, I mean, like, real babe, me too. What? And we see this kind of, like, montage of just Vox promenading Alistair. And it's... And then... Now we get to the weird part, okay? I need you guys to stick with me on this, okay? It's about to get real gay. We cut to a scene of Vox in bed with no shirt on. Okay? He's sitting there, you know, resting with his hands behind his head. He's chilling. And he's like, man, that was a great day. Wouldn't you say, Val? And it cuts to Valentino, who's in bed next to him, like, smoking a cigarette. Also with no shirt on. Obviously, Valentino, like, never wears a shirt. And he's like, yeah, whatever, babe. And then I'm sorry, can you feel the I don't know how to and then Vox turns to the other side, you know, like away from the bed, and he has Alistair tied in a chair, not even a foot away from his bed, like he's in a cuck chair. What? And he like drags Alistair using his like cable tentacles over to his desk, and he's like, so Alistair, you want to tell me why you decided to do all of this? And he's like leaning across his desk, like his legs are on his desk, and he uses his foot to lift Alistair's chin, and it's like, what is happening here? First of all, what am I watching? This is 16 plus. This is not hello. But then Alistair's basically like, lol, I'm not gonna tell you. And Vox's like, really? Because usually you love to run your mouth. And then Alistair's like, you know, it's really funny seeing that you still rely on everybody else for your power because you're just a weak little bitch. And Vox's like, excuse me? And then we get the Alistair Vox backstory, dude. I'm not even shitting you. We get to see Vox's old design. He looks so cute. Like, he's such a cutie patootie in this, like, flashback. It's not even... Alistair looks mostly the same, because he's just a fucking bitch. But basically, it's Alistair and Vox at a bar. Many, many, many years ago. I also forgot to mention that Vox says that this feud has been going on for 70 years! 70 years! Okay, anyway. Back to the flashback. They're at a bar together, and, you know, they're drinking, they're having a good time. And Vox is like, you know, Alistair, he's like acting very awkward. Like, he very obviously has a crush on Alistair. It's like kind of uncomfortable. And he's like, I was thinking, you know, like he calls Alistair inspiring because radio was the start of modern entertainment, television. But he was like, with your power and my influence, we could rule hell together as partners. And then Alistair just starts laughing his ass off. And Vox is standing there with his hand outstretched. And, oh my god. You see, like, static on his screen. It's really cool. I like the static effect, especially on the older television screen. And then Alistair's like, oh, you're serious? Oh. You know, I didn't realize you were so weak. I thought that maybe you were starting to be on my level. And, you know, just like demeans Vox. And Vox is like, what? But I thought we were friends. And Alistair's like, oh. In hell, there are no friends. And hello? And we cut back to the present. And Vox is like, oh, what? You think I fucking care? You think I fucking care? Whatever, bitch. And he does a reprise of Rosie's song. I don't know why we're seeing so much of Alistair being dominated in episode 4. But that's what that song is. It's basically like, it's Vox trying to be like, well, right now you're my bitch, okay? And Alistair making fun of him and being a brat, which Vox actually does call him a brat in the episode. Like, you always liked being a brat, didn't you? Like, whatever, something like that. Hello? But at the end of the song, they're like face to face, like obviously the very charged energy between them, and they're both panting, by the way, like trying to catch their breath. And then you just hear Valentino be like, you guys should fuck already, because he's been there the whole time. He's just been there the whole time, laying in the bed, smoking his cigarette, like. I get so much whiplash from this episode. And I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. I mean, I'm glad that we learned all the things we did, and I like the insights that we're getting. But everything feels so fast. Like, we're halfway through the fucking season already. That's what's wild to me, is because we only get 8 episodes, everything is moving so quickly, you know, there's never a break. And I think that's one of Hazbin's biggest shortcomings, is in its pacing. And like I said last time, they're doing the best with what they can. But what? What? We have 4 more episodes. How is this going to come to a satisfying conclusion in 4 episodes? Are you picking up what I am putting down? I know that they said they got greenlit for seasons 3 and 4? Question mark? I'll have to look at the that announcement video they did when they were talking about Hell of a Boss coming to Prime, because they mentioned it there. I think it's 3 and 4. But I don't know how this arc comes to a satisfying conclusion in another 4 episodes. Because it's only like another 2 hours. 2 hours of show. I don't know what they're gonna do. The next 2 episodes that are coming next week are called Silenced and Scream Rain. And in Silenced, the like thumbnail thingy is a picture of Lucifer, and the one for Scream Rain is Vaggie and Charlie. It looks like they might be like on a date or something. There's like fairy lights and it's really cute. So I don't know where the hell this is going. I'm genuinely, you could give me a million guesses and I would probably still be wrong. I would probably still be wrong. And then the last 2 episodes are Weapon of Mass Destruction and Curtain Call. Weapon of Mass Destruction looks like it's going to be about the V's. And Curtain Call just has like the main cast. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Are we going to see Loot again this season? I don't know. Maybe that's a season 3 thing. The problem is that they set up so much, and it's hard to deliver on all of those things you've set up within the time frame that they're given. It's kind of a Chekhov's gun situation. It's like, why would you give me all of this stuff with Loot if we're not going to see Loot again? But also, how are you going to do the V's character arc and Loot's character arc within one season? You know? I'm just concerned. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm concerned. Unfortunately, for now, I have to wait until next week. This has been most of my thoughts. I've just kind of been running my mouth for 30 minutes. Oh my god. I'm so sorry to subject you to this. Yeah, if you want to see my actual live reactions, because those are... I hit my microphone again. Oh my god. Anyway, my actual live reactions are much more chaotic and kind of ridiculous. So if that's the kind of content you enjoy, you should go watch those. Those will probably be out soon after I make this video. Well, like after I edit this video, because the reactions take so much longer. It takes so much longer to edit because I have to take out any part where I'm not talking, and I have to do the overlay, and I have to, because I don't want to get murdered by Amazon. Anyway, I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna get this edited so I can get it posted. And so I guess this is it. I will see you all next time, okay? Goodbye, everybody.